In the fourth part of the elevation tutorials, we're going to go over using both relative bottom points and relative top points. There is no difference between the way relative top works and the relative bottom works. However, it does add a lot more values in the elevation box, so you want to make sure you've got a very good understanding of the first three parts of the elevation tutorials before you move on to this one. In this tutorial, we're going to route duct in this section here. This section we have marked as 1A, and we have set it to be our new relative bottom by just clicking here and setting the bottom to be blue. So we're going to use the top of this slab, which is at, if you click on it, top of slab is at 25 foot in absolute elevation. That's going to be our relative bottom. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click on the steel, and you can see we've got steel beams here, and the bottom of steel is at 35 foot in absolute elevation. And we're going to set bottom of steel as the new relative top for our drawing. In other words, our workspace is going to be top of slab to bottom of steel. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another elevation mark into the PractiCAD elevation box. To do that, I'm going to bring my cursor to the left until the arrow turns white. I'm going to click, and right here it's already lined up for me at 35 foot. So what we're going to do is now we're going to set 35 foot, which is the bottom of the steel, and we're going to set it to be relative top. All we do here is instead of the bottom yellow, we click the top one. It will turn green. Now PractiCAD gives us this top zero, bottom zero view. And what that does for us is if we click on it, it centers the elevation box from relative top and relative bottom. It's a quick view from relative top. So this is actually the space that we're working in. In absolute, we're working from 25 foot to 35 foot. However, because we've created relative top and relative bottom points, we can use all of these values here to place stuff down. For example, we're going to grab a piece of duct. Notice the duct now has relative top, center, and bottom from absolute zero. It's got top, center, and bottom of duct from relative bottom. And it's got top, center, and bottom of duct from relative top right here. So for example, if I wanted to say make the top of duct 2 inches underneath relative bottom, or let's say 2 feet, we can click here and type in -2 foot. And that would mean that the top of duct is 2 feet underneath relative top, which is actually 2 feet underneath our steel beam. And we're going to place it right here. And if in fact we wanted bottom of duct to be 5 foot above the slab, I could say bottom of duct 5 foot. So generally we use the top to use as a reference point from relative top, and we use the bottom here as a reference point from relative bottom. These are usually the two values we focus on. So if I type in 5 foot from relative bottom, right now this duct is going to be 5 foot above the slab. So if we're going to tag that duct, we're going to tag it with the 1A tag. Because we're working in 1A and we want the top and bottom of this to be referenced from that, we're going to use the 1A tag. And you can see it says that this duct is at 5 foot. If we click here, you can see that this one is at a different elevation. Remember, we just said top of duct should be 2 inches underneath the steel. So if we click on that, you can see here that this is the value. Once again, let's change this to -2 foot and hit enter. And you can see here now that it's 2 foot, top of duct 2 foot underneath the steel beam, which was set at 35 foot. You can see these values. So as we go to put this in the front view, you can see here that we've placed 2 pieces of duct down, one using a relative top point, one using a relative bottom point. And we'll just zoom in right here. And you can see just by dimensioning from these 2 points, that we're exactly, top of duct is 2 foot from bottom of steel. And you can see that if we were to do a dimension line from here, we're not grabbing to the exact spot, but we're about bottom of duct about 5 foot above the slab. So we are putting it on there correctly. So that concludes the tutorials on relative top and relative bottom. Please go through the exercises on elevation marks.